gentlemen, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for staying back for the sessions. We have a very heavyweight topic in front of us. It says retail power, building institutions, not just brands, and it adds in a volatile world. I have some data points with me. I'm going to start with just two, the two of them. The average lifespan of companies in the S&P 500 has fallen from 61 years in 1958 to under 18 years today. And as per some market research, in India, over 80% of consumer brands fail to scale sustainably beyond their founder-led phase, which I believe raises the core question: why do some brands remain brands while others become institutions? No? On that note, I'll start with you, Amrish. A brand can grow fast, but an institution survives cycles, leadership changes, mergers, acquisitions, and disruptions as well. In your experience, where do you think brands underinvest? Where do you think brands don't think ahead of the curve? And how does that prevent them from becoming institutions?
I think, yes, brands can be created and can have a quick ramp up to certain size. But moving to an institution means that the inherent structure of what the brand sits on, which is the company, has longevity. Often we think of brands as just the value proposition to the customer and what it sells, etc. But actually, there is a large engine behind it that perseveres. And by that I mean a lot of gained knowledge, a lot of experienced wisdom that goes into every segment of the business. Now, whether it's merchandising in the case of retail, or it's the way finance operates, or it's the way go-to-market happens now, online, offline. Also, the longevity of the people you have on the front end, the staff. So all of those things have to operate and grow in order for it to go beyond what is just a brand and to have a legacy.
So as you were sharing that statistic, one thought just crossed my mind. 2026, New Balance completes 120 years.
120.
120 years. And, we are proudly privately held. Yeah. But, more about the topic at hand. So I believe brands tend to underinvest in the invisible architecture, the governance, capital discipline, supply chain control, leadership continuity. Yeah. So that is where they try to optimize for speed, whereas institutions are built on resilience. So there is a lot a brand to become an institution has to learn to say no to. Too much discounting, too much overexposure, suboptimal locations. Yeah. So the more we are willing to say no to, we stay true to the brand. And as long as brands stay authentic, yeah, they know who they are, what they stand for. That is something which brings in, longevity and a resonance with generations through the times.
Amrish, Radeshwer spoke about the importance of saying no. In your journey, has there been moments where you had to, even if it was, a guest from anyone else, but you, as the founding team, had to say no, a hard no?
No, it happens all the time, especially because we're in the slightly more premium end of the industry, and the excitement to try and open new markets, to go access new parts of the country, say, or new demographics is always there. You always want to grow, but we've made those mistakes. We've opened too quickly in some cases. And the other thing you mentioned was also perseverance. Sometimes you need to have patience. It's not always going to come. The results are not always going to come in a quarterly cycle, especially for. I find that especially true of India. When you're opening new markets, it takes time to develop that customer, and once it does, then there is a certain guarantee of them coming back. But both saying no where opportunities seem to suddenly come up, where a new mall comes up and it's all glitzy, everyone wants to be there. We've made enough mistakes to know now that it's better to slow it down. That chase of quarterly results is often stymies you in the long term, yeah.
Radeshwer, you spoke about investing into governance, leadership, and more, especially in India for the brand. What are some non-glamorous aspect of building a business where you have consciously chosen that we are going to invest into this, we are going to give it the time that it needs?
I would say in India, patience is not passive, it's strategic. India will reward clarity. Brands that stay true to themselves, stay authentic, know what they stand for, are the ones that will go through the test of time. What sticks with me is if you are chasing growth, but that is at the cost of your brand positioning, you're not building an institution. You're borrowing from the future.
Excellent. I think very rightly put. Coming to you, Amrish, if you look at the brand, you have survived multiple fashion cycles. You have survived consumer shifts. You have survived the competition waves as well. How do you preserve the soul and the identity of a brand while you're also evolving and you're changing, how you cater to the customer, how you reach, how you talk to the customer?
See, one of the ways we did it was we created sub-brands. We had the parent brand, which remained the premium end. It's an artisanal brand. It is, it's an ode to the textile heritage of the country, and we tried to remain there while also trying to be accessible to a certain type of customer. We found that that brand was a mature brand, and we found that we were missing out on perhaps a younger customer, something a little easier in terms of their purchase decisions, etc. So the way we did it, we sub-branded. We created something called Label Ritu Kumar. And recently we've sub-branded once again. So that is one of the strategies that we have taken to expand while still remaining true to what we do. There are, you're absolutely right. Every fashion cycle, new brands come up, new ideas come up that look very seductive, that look like we should run after them because they seem to be getting the flavor of the time, and you feel like you're missing the boat, especially brands like ours, which are, as you said, heritage brands. We're 50 years old. You feel like you're missing the boat somewhere. The new shiny thing is not you. I mean, it's a tricky thing because you have to keep somewhat abreast of what's going on. You can't be completely blind to changes. But at the same time, you have to have some amount of belief in where you came from, the kernel of what your brand was. And by the kernel, I mean not just the product, but also the emotional touch point to the customer. Our brand is a sort of organic ode to a certain cultural heritage, and that's what made the brand. Not that it was started like that, it just happened to become that way. Those kinds of, those properties or those characteristics of a brand don't change, or the customer, there is a need for customers for that in their lives. That doesn't change. So you have to remain true to that. You've got to remain flexible to see what's going on so you don't completely become dogmatic and archaic. But yes, you've got to stick to your to what made you what you were. So one of the ways we did it, as I said, sub-branding, but even there, we're constantly changing. The product we made 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, that product hadn't changed for the 20 before that. Now, fashion cycles in India, we're having to innovate the product a lot faster, a lot more. And the product, for example, this label brand that I'm talking about, it's almost unrecognizable what we make now and what we used to make 10 years ago.
Interesting. Radeshwer, similar question to you. You talked about sub-branding. You operate at a certain price point in the market. Do you think to capture a market above and also beyond, below that price range, is sub-branding or maybe launching, products in that category? Is that a conversation ongoing? Because sportswear as a category, it's huge, and honestly, this is the time when sportswear will grow in India.
So we remain a premium brand, and of course we understand that certain sections of the consumers are value conscious. But that is where we have a great advantage. We have a wide offering of products across the segment. Yeah, you have the best of the best at a certain premium price point. You have the mid price point as well. But do we want to compromise on our positioning ever to chase growth? The answer would be no. Globally and also in India, we always would want to retain, our premium positioning within the segment that we are in.
Right. One of the key conversations for fashion and apparel, industry is the adoption of quick commerce as a channel, right? How attractive is that channel for you, for both of you? And I'm sure there must be some conversation ongoing with your teams. Someone in the team must be saying we need to launch at least this SKU on quick commerce. Amrish, I see you smiling. I'll start with you.
It's not attractive to me at all. There has been conversation, but we put an end to that quite quickly. It just doesn't fit with what we do. I mean, by nature of what we do, we're not quick commerce. The whole seduction of our brand is that it is slow and it is deliberate.
I think, very strong answer. Thank you for that. Radeshwer, what about you?
So opportunities are there. We don't see them relevant for us today. But of course, the philosophy is wherever the consumer is shopping or prefers to shop, we want to be the best versions of ourselves there. So wouldn't totally rule it out, but let's see what the future holds.
Okay, that's an open-ended note. Thank you. Just one final closing question to both of you. By 2030, we'll see many brands growing fast, but very few will, go on to become institutions over the next decades or so. What advice would you give to the room, to the leaders today who want to build something that lasts, but not just something that grows for the moment? Amrish, I'll begin with you.
Well, I think my experience is that it's not just the brand, it's the institution behind it, it's the people, it's the processes that you perfect selling your type of product. It's the, as I said, the ingrained knowledge within your entire ecosystem that needs to persevere. It's very easy to try and put business theory into, and people try and do that. They try and put business theory learned from somewhere else into an institution that perhaps doesn't respond quite the same way. So that learned wisdom within the institution needs to be protected at all costs in order to have longevity.
Okay, I think very interesting. Radeshwer, your comment.
I would say evaluate your foundations. If discounting was to disappear, would demand still sustain? If leadership was to transition, would the execution still remain strong? If external capital was to stop, would the business still generate cash to sustain? There are certain key pillars, strong institutions are based on. One is the pricing authority. Yeah. Very importantly, the culture, innovation and customer centricity, and of course, independence of thinking. So the brands that will thrive in times to come will not be the ones who were the fastest movers, but were the most consistent operators.
Consistency beats everything at the end. Very rightly put. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us, for being so candid. It was a pleasure to be speaking to you both. And thank you, everyone in the audience, for joining us today. Thank you.